Hello, my Aloha wow, really? Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Monday. It is Monday. It's the beginning of the week. And as you can see, I am home for a little bit and excited about that. Yay! So this morning I saw a good morning, older sibling. So this morning, I was trying to put on some binaural beats before my show started. And so, but then of course, I sidetracked and saw a kitty thing about how this cat just kind of adopted this family. Good morning, Muddy. Adopted this one dog and then the mom. And then the mom is like, I've never been a cat person, blah, blah, blah. And then older sibling comes in and says, I have an idea for your show, since I couldn't think of anything. And she's all, why don't you talk about the cats? Or cats. And then I thought, well, why don't we just talk about all cats? Because I think cats get a bad rap. They may act aloof, but really they're just, and they may seem standoffish, but they're natural observers, okay? I mean, the cat's first instinct is to stalk its prey and to do all these things. Their last thing on their mind is probably being all cute and cuddly because they're supposed to be this ferociously huge creature of death, but they're not. And once they earn your trust, they can be very lovey. I got home yesterday, it was Mother's Day, and to all my friends and family who wished me a happy Fur Mom's Day, thank you, I appreciate that. I don't even think we have to say Fur Mom, all right, to be honest with you. I mean, we know I never gave birth to kids. I mean, to be honest with you, there are 3 girls and a boy that live at the Canterbury Tales. Older sibling, me, Pixel, and then George. And Pixel's the only one who's ever given birth. Poor thing. She got pregnant very young, so we tend to think that she was kind of a disregarded outdoor cat because, boy, when she wants to be lovey, she will be lovey. But, older sibling thought, well, yeah, why don't you mention the cats, and how, like, George left me a little present inside of my door, right into my room. It's his favorite little turtle. He has these 2 little turtles that he runs around with that are, they used to be like catnip turtles, but he's not a big catnip fan. Riley, of previous generations of Canterbury Tales, she was a stoner, but I mean, that girl, Cheech and Chong all the way. But anyways, but he left his little turtle inside. It's like, aw. And that's, that shows you that they care about you, and that they love you. And then this morning, he was sitting in front of his 2 favorite toys, which is the turtle and this long, I don't know what it is. It looks like a Barbie pill, like a Barbie body pillow. I mean, if you know what a body pillow looks like, then just think of Barbie with one. And that's kind of what this little stick thing looks like, but it's fluffy. So, and he left those 2. I mean, and he didn't just leave them. He positioned them together, and it almost looked like a lollipop because the turtle and everything. So, and here's the other thing. When I was watching that video, the dog was, I think, the lady said the dog was looking at her like, how am I going to do my business, Mom? But I think the dog was looking at her going, Mom, we need to bring this cat home, in the video. And so she finally did. She finally opened her heart to this cat. And then the cat was a little, because it had never been indoors. It was still kind of technically a kitten. It was still very small, but not quite a kitten. So an adolescent cat. And here's something a lot of people don't realize, that when, so in this case, let me just kind of lay the foundation here. The cat was laying, in the carrier. She had a little tent and a little carrier for the cat to feel safe, right? To kind of watch its surroundings without, having its back open to the world, because cats do get a little skittish about that. But, and I'm no expert. I'm just watching the things I watch, and I watch my own cats. But the dog was sitting there, right, just being all cute and dog-like, and the cat and him were just kind of looking at each other, and then the cat slow blinked. Now, a slow blink is one of the most common things that you will see, you will hear about people and the behaviors of a cat. A slow blink is, you can interpret it in a lot of ways, but it's either I trust you, or I love you, or you're my friend, or it's a very endearing eye blink. And the reason they do, that's just their way, right? That's their communication, with other species, whether it's a human, a dog, or something else. They will slow blink at you. And so, if you want to tell your cat that you love them, slow blink at them. If they don't blink back, just give them time. But I think my cat likes to torture me with that. So anyways, I forgot I had the spirit book. Now, I do have a card deck of animal allies, and I was a little mad that dogs and cats are not in there. They have the bigger creatures, right? They have the big stuff. All right, like the big cats and the big dogs, like the wolves and the tigers and all those things. And then I remembered that there was a part in here of mythical creatures. They even have a hippogriff in here. They have a thing of mythical creatures as your spirit animal. So if you're watching Harry Potter and you see a hippogriff, then, it means a lot of good things. Extraordinary possibilities in your life. But here we go to domesticated animals, okay? And and this is interesting. They actually have a carp, a fish, under domesticated animals. Okay, I mean, they're generally and primarily outside, but they symbolize travel, reproduction, and growth. All right. Oh, I've been looking for this. It's my peppermint bark fudge recipe. Although I kind of figured out how to do it on my own now, so good for me. Anyways, so visualization with cat. That's what it says, with cat. But there's no pictures, no nothing. So, and I don't have a cat nearby. They're all downstairs waiting for treats. But let's just roll into this, okay? Because like I said, I think cats get a bad rap. There are people who just kind of mess with cats, and then the cat attacks and they get all freaked out. So this is what I've learned in my own experiences of being a cat mom for a few decades now. There was one cat that used to, Kisses used to love my feet. I don't know what it was with her. And I don't know if it was everybody's feet, but she definitely loved mine. I'm pretty sure she loved everybody's feet. But, sometimes I would stand at siblings' door and we'd be talking. And the next thing I know, she's rubbing all over my feet. Not my ankles, not my legs, my feet. And so, I would just kind of lift them and just kind of start petting her. But then every so often, she would just kind of take a nip at my toes. And, your feet are very sensitive. So you're kind of like, And so I'd be like, and then we started watching Jackson Galaxy, right? And, just one of those shows, and we love cats and blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, he was petting the cat, or he was watching the owner pet the cat, and he didn't say anything. But then you could kind of see the cat get a little uncomfortable, and then the cat nipped, kind of just that warning nip. And, you say bite, I say nip, because it is a warning nip. And what they're overstimulated. So you can they're not like dogs, okay? Dogs will love you and love you and love you, and they cannot get overstimulated. But cats can get very overstimulated. And when they get overstimulated, it overwhelms them. And so they don't know how else to make you stop. So they nip at you. Because obviously if they try to squirm away, you're going to be like, no, come back, and push them back. So they give you a warning bite. All right. And it does not draw blood. It does not draw skin. It's basically like a pinch with their teeth. And they're saying, back off. I've had enough. Thank you. Now, if like a dog, if they roll over and they expose their belly to you, that is a very huge thing. With dogs, we just think it's natural, right? It's like, oh, come here, let's do a little bit, and they just automatically roll over because, they're like older sibling. They trust anything. And, anything and everyone. So, I'm more like a cat. It's like, I'm not going to show you my belly until, you prove yourself to me. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I'm just not the most trusting person. And I should be. I think I told older sibling, I said, somewhere between me and you is the perfect level of trust. Cause, and for me, a lot of it is just relearning how to trust, because I never had trust. So, whereas she just tries to find the good in everybody, and I love that. And that's why she just trusts them until, backfires. So, like I said, somewhere between the two of us, and it's not a bad thing. I wish I was more like her, to be honest with you. So, but cats are very, they will scope you out before they trust you. So when they offer their belly to you, that is a huge sign of love and trust. Now, just like the lady in the video I was watching this morning, older sibling was always a dog person until her husband at the time brought home a cat. It was a stray. And then, when they separated, she got custody, which I think is hilarious, because she was like, I'm a dog person. I don't want a cat, blah, blah, blah. And then her and that cat had a a love relationship for as long as that little boy lived. So Puck, not named after hockey, surprisingly, but named after Shakespeare's character Puck. And watch it eat. You post flyers everywhere looking for the owner. No one ever shows, so you name it and keep it as your guardian. That is what they call the cat distribution system. And I used to think it was, it's funny because, you always hear that, right? Oh, well, I never heard that term until my friend, who is a permanent dog person, okay, does not like cats, has a very hate relationship with cats. But she's all like, but they'll watch videos because, but it's just cats and them don't seem to get on well. So, it's just, and that's fine. They're not for everybody. They're not for everybody. I love that my cousin has 2 cats now. I know. And they have, my nephew's big dog. So, but yeah, they all get along. It's so cute. And they're pretty. These pretty fluffy white cats. It's like, wow. Leave it to her to get the fancy cats. So, we got mutts. Well, except Pixel. Pixel's actually a diluted calico. And George is a tuxedo? Black and white? Tuxedo? Cookie? He's like an Oreo cookie. But, ooh, and he's so nummy. But anyway, sorry. My mom voice. But yeah, even when I came home, right? I mean, my girl comes running down the stairs, just yammering at me like, where the hell you been? Why have you been gone? Why do you keep leaving and not coming back for long periods of time? And I hate that. I hate that because I miss my cats. But, and sibling. I mean, she's not a side dog, but I miss it. But that's, I get to at least talk to her. I don't get to talk to my cats on the phone. So anyways, cat symbolizes harmony, timing, and exploration of the unknown. When cat appears, it means you need to be patient, stay quiet, and just observe what is happening around you. Timing is important to cat. It will wait until just the right time to attack its prey or make a move. This means to wait before taking action to ensure you're in the best possible position to obtain your goal. Oh, that's right. These are spirit animals. So, it's not going to tell us a lot about cats. But you're an excellent communicator who is independent and likes time alone, but who is also comfortable being part of a group. You enjoy being outside in the sun, but usually work best at night. Cat means you need to be more flexible and harmonious in your relationships with others. I'm starting to think I'm a cat. Okay, because so far, I mean, how many of you out there are like me, where, we like to be independent, but we're also comfortable being a part of a group. We enjoy being in the sun, but we work best at night. We need to be more flexible and harmonious in our relationships with others. Sometimes you can be too unpredictable, only heeding your own instincts without regard to others. Yeah, that's happened a few times. Those are my midnight drives where it's like, I don't care, I'm going. All right, I'm going and I don't care what you say. Of course, right now, gas is so expensive. It's ridiculous. But anyways, while you'll always land on your feet, others around you may not and will need your assistance to get back on track. Cat assists when you need to find what is hidden in the dark. Cats are mystical creatures that can see in the dark and will enlighten you on the path of self-discovery. And that's what cracks me up, right? Is you have all these experts. Well, they really can't see at night. They don't see as well as people think. And, maybe, I don't know. But I mean, you're not a cat. So how do you know? I think every cat is an individual. Every cat is their own person. But, and it's not that I don't love dogs. I love all animals. Since becoming a cat mom, I ooh and ah at everything now. If it is an animal, then I'm going to love it. And, and I don't have problems with reptiles. I actually like reptiles. My ex-boyfriend, the one before the last one, he had an iguana. And like I said, I was like a heating rock for that little baby. But it scared me at first because their claws look like they're sharp, but they're really not that bad. They're nothing worse than a cat. And so, or even a dog, but even dogs' claws are a little bit, not as rough if you, keep them filed and all that stuff, or whatever they do, groomed. But yeah, so I feel like I'm just trying to sell the idea of a cat. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I kind of sidetracked, and started reading from the book, but, I first heard this one term from my friend and who likes to post cat videos. She's a dog person. And it was just like, yeah, it looks like the cat distribution found this person. And I'd never heard that term before, but then all of a sudden I just started hearing it everywhere. And even today when I was watching that video, sorry, my TV's over there. When I was watching that video, I was like, oh, the cat distribution system found her. And in a way, even if you're looking for a cat, the cat distribution system still works in that way. When we found Lucas was a Christmas present to my parents, or from my parents to older sibling, which is why she named him Lucas. Like I said, mentioned this cat before, and it is so odd calling a cat by my last name, but he was adorable. He was a ragdoll tuxedo, I guess. I don't know. But, oh, he loved to be held. He loved to be held like a baby. He was just very quirky. In fact, last night, because we were watching playoff hockey, one of our teams was in, and we had the rally towels, right? And during one of the away games, we had everybody over, and we tied it onto his collar, or we didn't tie it, but we tucked it in because we didn't want it to choke him in case he ran off. So we wanted it to be able to come off easily, and it came off, and he rolled back into it. And I was like, what's he doing? Older siblings, oh, he's trying to get back into the towel. He's trying to get it. So we put it back on him, and then he was all happy. So, cats are quirky. And I think if you get to know them, you get to see their personality. Now, if you become standoffish with them or expect them to just be this house cat, like a plant, they're going to treat you like a plant. And I'm not saying every single cat is going to be your best friend or going to love you like, you are its eternal savior, but I've never had that problem. Between sibling and I, we've had cats that have migrated to either one of us. Like Kisses absolutely loved older sibling. Riley, loved, she was my baby. She was my very first kitty. And, she would sit with me a lot. She would sleep with me. But she would also go to older sibling when I wasn't around. So, and then we had, and Kisses, oh my gosh, Kisses loved my mom. My mom was not a cat person. She was actually very afraid of cats. And so she, but then when Kisses was little and a kitten, she crawled up into my mom's, she just perched herself right here because my mom was very warm. My mom had her jacket on. My mom's like, what do I do? I'm like, just sit there. And so every time my mom would come and visit after that, this cat was just all over her. And my mom loved it. She's like, oh, it's my cat. She called Kisses her cat. So, it was just kind of like, oh, they found each other. But yeah, I just, give cats a chance. All right. I mean, I think maybe they're just trying to live up to this mystique that we put out there about them. Because they are very loving creatures. They can be standoffish. I think maybe the reason some people have problems or have, issues or take issue with cats is because they're very human. They're very human. They will ignore you if you piss them off. They will be mad at you if you piss them off. They will scream and shout at each other if they're angry. They're just, but they go back so far in time. Cats were revered in Egypt. They were like guardians. And the cat that they talked about or in that book, it was like a guardian cat. A lot of, different cultures, witches look at them as being their familiar. I feel like Pixel's my familiar because that cat, and she even pops up in my dreams sometimes and it's just wild. And, but however you want to put it, they're our babies and we need to take care of them. And for all the people in this world that think that dogs and cats don't get along, that video I was telling you about, that cat attached herself to a dog. It was a little dog. But I have seen a lot of videos lately where moms have lost puppies and but they have all this milk, right? And then cats have lost their mom. So they become like, litter cats, with the dog. They're like kitty puppies. And she just takes care of them. She raises them. She grooms them. She does everything. And there was one video where this woman was nursing. This mom had puppies, and this woman was nursing a kitten, like a baby kitten that was just kind of found. Nobody knew where it came from, and at first she thought it was a squirrel until But then the dog came over, and it was a big dog. I think it was a golden lab. Does that exist? Are those things? I don't know, looked like a Labrador, but it was golden. But yeah, the doggy just gently picked up the little baby from her hands, brought her over to her little place where she was feeding her puppies and started nursing her. So, it's just, I think we just want to believe that animals don't get along. I mean, there are dogs that don't get along. There are cats that don't get along. Okay, but that doesn't say that you can't have an interspecies friendship, right? That's like saying that you can't be a friend of a person who's not from your own culture. Because that's ridiculous, right? Right. Sometimes we just have to let the animals figure it out for themselves, and they're more than just animals. I have a friend who's grieving terribly, and I don't mean terribly in a bad way. I mean, just, it's so heartbreaking because his ride or die for 15 years just passed away. And it's heartbreaking. And it's very heartbreaking when, your fur baby becomes such a part of you. They become our children. And for a lot of us who never had children, I think they fill a significant void. And for people that do have children, they are still like their other children. I mean, you'll see videos saying, a brother meets his baby, or, puppy meets his baby brother. It's just, we refer to things in different ways, but I think we need to end that stigma too, that animals are just whatever. They're just a piece of the furniture. They're not. So, sorry, hold on. I'm echoing. Oh, that's older sibling. She's getting ready. But, that's all right. Sorry. But, never know what you're going to get with a live show. But anyways, I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon because now I'm just rambling. But I think we need to end that stigma of, treating people, differently when they lose a fur baby than if they lost a human. Because sometimes these animals, our little fur babies, are more loyal than some of the humans we have in our own lives. They tend to our needs. They will comfort us when we're upset. They'll they do. They tend to our needs. And they're just there to be nothing but cuddle love. I don't know how else to put that. But, just little bundles of love, or big bundles. Baby sibling has a Mastiff, boxer, Minnie, I know, right? She was originally named Minnie, like Mini, but baby sibling names all her animals after Disney characters, so all her fur babies. So Minnie is Minnie, but Minnie is not Minnie. Minnie's about 95 pounds of dog and muscle, and she is my lap dog. And it's so cute because she will get on the couch like she is this tiny dog and just lay on you. And sometimes she'll crawl over you to get comfortable. So you're just kind of like, oh, settle in. But that's love. I mean, that's, well, in her case, a big fur baby just going, I need to be with you. I need to love you. And I love my girl. That's my niece. She is my niece. And then there's Lulu. Lulu's new to that family. And, and we're still figuring it out, but Minnie's my girl. So yeah, and then Muddy, right? Muddy is, I call her the mother of the forest because she takes care of all the creatures that live in and around her yard. And I love that because she doesn't have to, right? I mean, she's got enough stuff out there that they can feed themselves, but it's not just out of kindness, it's out of love. Or the godmother. We should call her the godmother of the forest, the fairy godmother of the forest. So, that's your new title, Muddy, fairy godmother of the forest. But yeah, we talked about that, and it's just, a level of trust that an animal has when, they'll see you and they don't leave because they know you're not there to harm them. You're just, I'm going to have my morning coffee or water or whatever. I'm going to sit here and on my porch and I'm just going to watch all these cute little animals, just be in the forest and do all their things. So anyways, oh yeah. Older sibling said, tell them when we first found Pixel, she didn't like us at all. So I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to close it out with this. Okay. This is I've talked about this before, but, Muddy, you can come up with your own title if you want, but I don't know. Fairy godmother of the forest sounds pretty awesome. I want to be a fairy godmother of a forest, but we don't have a forest. We have trees and bushes. what do they call it? Curated trees and bushes. I don't know if that's what they call it, but you know, in a complex. So anyways, yeah, so I personally like Fairy Godmother of the Forest. I want that title. I can't have that title. It's Muddy's, but you know, but anyways, with Pixel. So a friend of ours, had gone out to her, you know, her boo wanted some kitties. They don't have kids, so, you know, he's cat daddy. And it's so cute because he has a shirt that says cat daddy and it has the kitties on it. But they wanted to, you know, they ended up adopting a couple of kittens because, you know, they wanted little ones. And that's fine because it was adopt, don't shop. They were at a rescue. And oh, good. Okay, good. I'm glad you like it. So it just kind of flew out of my head. So anyways, we went out there, and it's about an hour drive from where we live. But, you know, she had posted on her page, and Pixel was the cat of the week. And Pixel had been abandoned. You know, I shouldn't say abandoned. She'd been surrendered because, you know, cat surgeries, dog surgeries, pet surgeries can get very expensive. And if a family can't afford it, they don't realize there are a lot of places out there that will help you figure it out. But they surrendered her, and they didn't know what else to do because she was still alive, but she had been attacked by a coyote defending her kittens at the time. Now, I think the kittens were also surrendered and they got adopted out, but Pixel, you know, the back end of her is, she's like a Franken kitty, like Frankenstein. She's like a Frankenstein kitty. I call her Franken kitty sometimes because her back side, you can see where the surgery was. But I mean, the surgery was so bad that, you know, they even had to depress her bladder until she healed herself for like every hour because, you know, or every couple of hours because she couldn't do it herself while she healed. But they put her back together. She walks a little bit with a Mae West gait. And if you know who Mae West is, you know, she was an old timey actress, but she kind of had that little hip sway, right? She goes down the stairs fast like a bunny. She can run, but you know, when she's going downstairs, it's kind of like a bunny because her backside doesn't work necessarily like the front side. So anyways, this poor girl, we put the carrier down because we saw my friend's post. Older sibling and I talked about it because poor older sibling, I want another cat. No. And then here I come, like, you know, with my tail between my legs going, there's this cat. And she was about 3. She was going to be 4 that year. She was actually born 2 months after my mom passed away. But we didn't know about her yet, you know, so we got her in 2018, May. Her gotcha date's coming up. It was in May. We got this little baby. Beautiful cat. Beautiful cat. But it was so funny because she was just like, not funny, haha, but like just the way she was acting. Because, you know, we saw the carrier, we opened it. Well, we didn't open it yet. And then we were petting her. And, you know, older sibling gets carriers. And basically what they are, they're dog crates. Okay. They're mini dog crates for when you go camping. Okay. So each cat has one of these. It's like a little tiny apartment for them when they're on the go. So anyways, you know, we pet her and we petted her and we petted her. And then, you know, the other lady was trying to, are you sure you want this one? Blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if it's because they got attached to her because she was in the shelter for 2 years. Now, it's a no-kill shelter in Ontario Rescue. Okay, Ontario Rescue in California, not Canada, but Ontario, California. All right, but they have Ontario Rescue. They're, you know, they rescue animals. They have their own little pet shop there to support this, and animals across the board. Okay, not just cats, but they did have a whole cattery in there. And you know, I was just kind of like, I mean, I fell in love with her. I think we both did the minute we saw her. But boy, she was sassy and cranky, and I can relate. I mean, I can relate. But you know, we picked her up and well, actually, we didn't pick her up yet. We petted her. And, you know, then she just went right back into the front of the screen door and just started looking out again. Because I think the reason she was so standoffish was that she'd been picked up and put down so many times. But every time another cat would come near the carrier, she would kind of chase him off. It's almost like she knew, right? It's almost like she knew that she was going home. So, of course, you know, I signed the adoption papers. We do all this stuff. And then we get her into the car. And then the rescue calls us because they don't know we're still in the parking lot. Can you come back in? And can you bring Pixel? And we're like, oh. And they're all, no, we just wanted to get a picture of you because she's a success story now. Because, you know, she's been adopted after all this time and yada, yada, yada. And so this poor cat is, you know, she's meowing her head off because, you know, she's in the car. And, you know, cats don't like being in crates. Cats don't like, you know, especially for her because she was an outdoor cat. Whatever family owned her, it just seems like they just kind of, you know, let her do whatever she wanted to do. And so when we got back into the car, it's all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, they're calling and they want us to come back in. And the panic on this cat's face, you know, because now it's like you're in the car, you're meowing your head off, and now you're going back inside. And then we're taking her out of the carrier because, you know, they want a picture. And I'm thinking like, wow, we should have thought about this beforehand because this just traumatized this cat. And all of a sudden she started getting angry. She was, you know, trying to squirm out of the way. It kind of freaked me out, I admit, and I couldn't hold on to her anymore, even though I'm the one that adopted her. And I mean, I'm the one that signed the paper, so legally I'm responsible for her. But older siblings like, I got this. So kind of like, hold my beer, I got this. And she takes her and she holds on to her and she's like, no, we're not going to do. Older sibling trained horses. This girl dealt with, you know, lots of pound animals. Lots of pound Furbabies. I mean, what is a horse? About like a ton? Or they weigh over like, I mean, up hundreds of pounds, right? But, oh yeah. So older sibling says it better. She was mean when we first met her, and you were kind of scared of her at first because she was throwing a hissy fit. And she was. And I think the reason she was mean to us is because, like I said, you know, she'd been picked up and put down so many times that I think this was her defense mechanism. You know, so if you go into a adoption place, okay, adopt, don't shop, please. But if you go into an adoption place and you see a cat that's just being standoffish, ask its story. Because this cat may just be looking for someone to love it. There's a lot of YouTube videos where people are like, oh yeah, this cat was returned 4 times because they said, oh, one cat was returned because the family said he was too aloof. What had happened was this cat had just had a very bad time and just needed patience. Because really that's all it takes. Cats just need patience. Some will warm up to you like that. Others will take time. Others will take time. And this girl gave it about a month after she brought this cat home. He was cuddling with her. And it was the patience game. But then, you know, she wanted to put that video out there that says you got to give them a chance. Cats are not dogs. They're not going to just trust you right off the go. They are going to take time, and you need to be patient with them. And, you know, and with Pixel, I told Laura, I said, I think she's mean because she's been, you know, handled so many times and put back on the shelf. And then, of course, like you know, as older sibling said, she was throwing a hissy fit because all of a sudden we're back in the shelter again. And I mean, this cat thinks she's got her freedom, and then all of a sudden we're back there. But she seemed to calm down when we got back in the car with her and drove home. Older sibling sat in the back with her and just kind of soothed her all the way home. And like I said, it's an hour drive at least, you know, without traffic. So, you know, kind of soothed her and, you know, just kind of helped calm her down. That night, you know, she was just kind of standoffish, and, you know, she stayed upstairs for a while until I brought her downstairs, which was the biggest mistake of our life because now she's the queen of the house. She's the alpha. She is the alpha in this house. But the first night we put her in the cat bed that no other cat loved. So it was meant for her because she loves it. It's still her cat bed. And then she slept next to older sibling. And then for anybody who's a Facebook friend with me, you'll see me post a picture of Pixel every so often on the steps. That was her. She hadn't even been with us for 24 hours. I just said, can I get a picture of you so I can put it on Facebook and show everybody, you know, the new addition to the Canterbury Tales? And she just stood there. And I was like, wow. It was like Lucas. Lucas would pose for me. But yeah, so you never know what you're going to get. And this little baby, she has been, you know, everything to this household. I mean, she can be a bit mean sometimes. She can be a bit mean-spirited sometimes. She's a Scorpio. Okay, her birthday is literally 2 days after my dad. My dad's like, "You're comparing me to a cat." In fact, baby siblings, Boo, they share a birthday. And I said, "Oh yes." And he said, "It's not." He's like, "You remembered my birthday?" I'm like, "It's the same day as my cat, so it's hard to forget." I shouldn't have said that, because I tend to remember birthdays anyways. I'm pretty good at that. But yeah, but I was just kind of joking, and they're like, "Oh, thanks." But anyways, okay, so I don't know how much longer I can ramble about a cat, and I got a cardiologist appointment in less than 2 hours. So, yes, everything's fine, just getting the ticker checked. But anyways, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you for letting me talk about the cats. I would say we would do something on dogs, but dogs are just lovey. Dogs will just, if you are a good soul, a dog is just going to be like, "I'm good with you." I love petting dogs. I'm that weirdo that will ignore the owner and just be like, "Oh, you were so cute." But I am a good person when, I'm a good stranger, okay? I don't just pet somebody's dog unless the dog comes running up to me, in which case it's just kind of like, the dog chose me to pet it. But if they're on a leash or something, I will actually ask the person, is it okay? Because sometimes they're service dogs, or sometimes they're dogs in training and they don't have their gear on yet, or maybe they're too small for the gear at first, but they might just be in training. So, you should always ask first, okay? And same with police dogs. You're not allowed to pet them. And it's sad because some of them are so cute, but I'm definitely an animal person now. Animal advocate. So anyways, again, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I don't know what we're going to talk about tomorrow. I was going to do an oracle card from that new deck that I got from across the pond, but we'll see what happens. Okay, but I have to get going. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for letting me talk about the cats. And please, 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 give it some thought. Okay, look at the YouTube videos of cats that might have had some issues, and then people adopted them, and you'll find them on all these different pet sites that you find on YouTube, because it will also show you that if you bring a cat home, sometimes their trust level is just shot. And the cat that had been returned 4 times, and or actually I think it was 3 times, and then she took him on the 4th try. She had actually visited this cat back and forth for a while, until she finally, the cat would finally come to the front and just kind of look at her. And then she's like, "Okay, now's the time." So she had already started building a rapport with this cat. And then she brought the little baby home. And it took some time for them to, get used to their surroundings, to make sure that nobody was going to take them back. And I think once this little baby realized that, she was there, she was, that this is when the human distribution system works, right? Where it's like, "No, I brought you home, and we're going to figure this out." Okay? Because Pixel and Lily did not get along. And it was a struggle, but it was never an option to bring her back. It was up to us to figure out how to make them get along, or how to help them get along. And, you look at experts, you look at, this, that, and the other, and you try to figure it out. Because pets are humans in their own way. They have feelings, they have thoughts, they think. They're not just these cute little animals that stand in your corner and, and look cute for you and your visitors. They are creatures. They have feelings. Okay? They may not be able to communicate them to you, but when you bring one back because, "Oh, well, it's this, that, or the other," then, you're doing a disservice to them. And if it sounds like I'm scolding you because you've done this, I probably am. If you're not sure about a dog, do your homework first. Just because it's cute does not mean it may fit into your family. Okay? Do your homework. Figure it out. Is this the kind of pet that would fit well in this kind of environment? And sometimes it doesn't work out. But you figure it out. You rehome it. You don't just bring it back to the shelter. Because they have feelings. Baby sibling had Mikey, and Mikey was actually rehomed from a friend of theirs, and they had never thought about putting him in the shelter. He just didn't get along with the other dogs. So it's like, "Hey, can you give my dog a home?" And they rehomed him. And then Mikey lived a long, good life with baby sibling and the boys. So just be kind. All right. Because like I said, If it breathes, it has feelings. If it breathes, it has emotions. And I think it's important for us to remember that they're not just animals. They are living, breathing creatures. They have emotions. And again, they have feelings. So do your homework, okay? I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Time, Facebook Live. All lives are public under Shelley Marie Lucas. And you can find me across the social media board, starting on YouTube, and then I spread it from there. So I will see you tomorrow, and have a wonderful day. Muddy, older sibling, thank you for popping on. And I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day.